Play us out. What does that mean?
Let's see.
Welcome to the Diversity Without Borders podcast. I'm your Caucasian host, Stefan. How's it going? No. This is an extra.
Sorry. I apologize. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, Italy's just won, I bet.
If the sun's hitting your eyes, by all means, do your thing, man.
Yeah, give me 1 second. The sun's just murdering me right now.
Don't blame you.
You know, Mike, you should have been prepared for this. I mean, the sun's existed for 4 billion years.
I'm still working on blotting it out. Don't worry. It's on tap. But just give me some time, all right?
We've got our best scientists on the job. They'll soon figure out curtains.
I'm still working on the world hunger issue.
Yeah, we're gonna roll ahead with or without Mike in the chair, which is, as you can see, is so nicely covered in plastic wrap. Mike's been replaced by plastic wrap, everybody.
What do you have against plastic wrap?
Nothing. It's really great when things are being delivered. It's just I once I own something, I like to take the plastic wrap off like most people do.
The plastic wrap is to protect from stains.
Yeah.
But you knew that.
Sure, yeah, it's to protect from stains, and do you keep your TV in plastic wrap too, Jeremy?
What'd you say?
Do you keep your TV in plastic wrap too?
The TV doesn't need to protect from stains, sir.
And you keep your couch in plastic wrap, your floors, your shirts, your shirts. Do you keep your shirts in the original packaging?
I absolutely do.
I was gonna say a joke, but I'm gonna reserve the joke for after the podcast as to why we needed to keep the stains.
Anyways, you're the Late Kick podcast. This is a special episode. Neither a peer review nor a review episode. Stay tuned for that tomorrow. We have a special guest today on the Late Kick podcast. Michael on, video content creator extraordinaire, someone who I've been training with since way back, since before we were blue belts, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, back at Toronto No Gi with the In Fremantle connection, stayed friends ever since, and continue to have many more fruitful years of broken limbs and
torn ligaments, blood, sweat, tears, therapy.
Exactly. Pre geriatric arthritis. We're all for it. We're all for it. And joining us in this conversation as well, our regular host, Senza David. He's celebrating Italy's win in the World Cup, a Euro Cup, no doubt. We've got Michael Acifo, correspondent for San Kofta Radio and the Fan 590, current mixed martial arts fighter, and Joseph Kony impersonator. Mike, say something for yourself.
Hi. Also, Michael on, good sir. He was at my last fight taking pictures. He took a picture of me in despair after I lost. So
I will say,
man.
I thought that was a phenomenal photo for a lot of reasons, and it was not to definitely dump on anyone. It was to to see both sides of the coin. It's like part of the beauty of mixed martial arts, right? The winners and the losers, and just part of the whole experience, and just everything about that moment in terms of.
You don't have to make excuses for him. He lost.
Finish your soliloquy, Jeremy.
Let him finish his
soliloquy.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a very powerful moment, and especially as someone who I've actually trained with, right? It's I guess my job as a photographer in that sense. It's I guess if I'm running around with a camera at any kind of cage fight, it's kind of like more so I'm here to document. I'm here to document things that are going on, and I think there was quite a moment there when I captured that, and I reached out to you, and I really appreciate you giving me the permission to post the photo.
Oh yeah, no, for the record, folks, I'm kidding. It was all cleared. It was all okay.
Yeah.
So Mike. Hey, Mike.
Wait, Jeremy, I got to introduce
you. Wait, Steph. No, I want to. Hey, Michael.
We're all over the place today.
The new Michael, not the regular Michael.
Korean Michael.
New Michael. I was just gonna say before I cut you off. Sorry, Black people, we do that. We tend to cut each other off. But I was gonna say you don't got to make excuses for taking a picture of him. He lost. That's how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. He lost.
Well, Jeremy is Mike's brother, we should point out, and as a brother, that entitles him to be an absolute fucking savage. But Mike has a talent for capturing the human side in mixed martial arts through his photography, capturing the moments that a lot of people don't necessarily see. A lot of the, you see the fight, and I even as a competitor myself, I can tend to, if there's one flaw I think that I have in, disseminating the fights to you guys, is that I tend to see it a bit in a sterile vacuum, like video game characters. There's one set of skills here. There's one set of skills here. Let's see what wins out. But it's not that. It's the sweat and the toil and the blood and everything it takes to get there, and the doubt and all the emotion that's involved. And it doesn't take place in a laboratory. And it's important to see that. And Mike, I think your photos really bring that out.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot of untold stories. There's a lot of untold stories, and we really like what sells in the media, right? Like pain, agony, happiness, pleasure, passion, all that. But like, there's a lot of the little things that it's like the human things that make us all really enjoy this. That I really want to showcase, right? So, one of many moments in that fight, I got some really good warm-up pictures of you too. I do remember that.
Some good what pictures?
Warm-up photos.
Oh, I know.
Big bolo uppercut. Man,
my girlfriend loves it. My girlfriend loves it. Oh, I thought you meant the pictures of me in the back. Yeah, she loves those ones.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Headshots.
All right, headshots. Got you.
Making me look like a 10 out of 10. And finally, because we don't like doing things in order or in any conventional sense of the word, we have our fourth correspondent today, Jeremy Asifo, NCAA football player, D3 athlete extraordinaire, our boxing correspondent, and a man who likes to, will trash on Mike for losing his fight, but when it comes to plastic wrap on his chair, he's ready to throw some hands. So better, Jeremy, say something for yourself.
Hey man, I'm just here to throw shit on all your hard work.
But not us for winning.
That was a great win by Italy. I saw 2 kicks that were outside of the box there. I haven't played soccer in a long while, but they're looking like me out there. So,
well, Jeremy, it certainly shows that you don't play soccer.
No. I play soccer. Don't get it twisted.
Hey, how many World Cups
does
Ghana have again? How many World Cups does the Ghana have again? Oh, anyways, moving on. Moving on.
It's irrelevant. You should see. Didn't we make it to the last?
Mike, it's not a soccer podcast, okay? Just let me have my dig and move on. Anyways.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, this has been chaotic. Let's have some order.
Yeah, order in the courtroom, please, for the love of God. I think let's start more generally. Mike, as somebody who's, and this is, we're just having a little conversation here, not to put you on the spot, but what interests you nowadays in mixed martial arts when you look at the sport? Because we've both been kind of watching the sport, competing in it, training in it for, or at least the composite sports for, quite some time now. And I'm sure, like me, you have a love and hate relationship with it at times. What is it that inspires you now?
That's actually a really good question, because back in the day, like when I met you, it was like, I'm like, let's be real, it's not like it's not anything too like, it's not rocket science. It's just like, oh, he hit him and he hit him back. Oh, right. It's like, I want to see someone die. It's like, no, like that's when you're younger, right? Like, but as I gotten older now, it's like, especially as I just recovering from surgery and like some other stuff. I guess what I'm kind of really appreciating now is just watching even in professionals, and this is unanimous across the board, but like, I guess the development of character and just being able to see who can triumph at them through like over themselves. Like, a lot of people win or lose, right? You just see like a lot of big storylines that occur, right? Regardless of who gets the star power, who gets the title shot and all that. I think the big thing that really like gets my gears going nowadays is just seeing like the personal storylines of every individual fighter. If I'm just going to use an example of like something a little bit more concrete, a little less vague, I think Nate Diaz lost that fight handedly, but he shocked the world once more, right? Like this guy was losing it so like awful. It looks like a zombie by the 5th round. His face is a pancake, right? And then immediately he lands a legendary Stockton slap and throws the right hand. How could you? And all of a sudden, he no matter what happens, no matter what the judges say, he's won the fight. He's always it's like that's what I love.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking about that moment on the podcast earlier this week, and I think a few of us agreed, except David, that was the worst possible way Leon Edwards could have won that fight.
Literally, oh man. And the sad thing about the Stockton slap, it's always thought of as this like kind of disrespectful, ineffective move. But I think you saw there that like it can turn around fights, and you can't just take them lightly. So
Oh sure, yeah, and I mean the left slap like that is an excellent tool to just palm the guard and create an opening for your right hand at the same time. Yeah, not to be trifled with, but I mean, also talk about two fighters whose careers and storylines couldn't be more different. Like Leon Edwards has been slowly chugging along, and we'll probably never see a title shot in the near future. And then you've got Nate, who catapults himself into this opportunity based on having this cult fandom, and he's even got Dana White saying, "Oh, if he'd won that fight, he would have gotten a title shot."
Yeah. Oh, Mike, I gotta ask you, did you end up seeing the difference in pay between Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz when the fight payouts got
I actually
released?
did not. I don't know what Nate, like, I know Nate's making money now, but like I did not know what the difference was. What is it?
I think it was 1.1 million to 191K. I believe.
That's a huge discrepancy. Did
That's
Diaz
what
get
someone
pay-per-view
said.
points?
No, it
Pay-per-view
was
points?
like
No, because he wasn't
before
even the main
pay-per-view.
event, right? He
It
wasn't
was
even the
before
co-main event.
That's crazy. I didn't realize he was getting like a flat mill, and then like Leon Edwards is like, to be honest though, Leon Edwards getting 200K, roughly 191,000 is what you said, right?
Yeah.
That's a big step up for him, but that discrepancy there of almost $800,000 is like $900,000 is pretty appalling to say the least, right?
Meritocracy in mixed martial arts is not exactly a thing. We always prided ourselves in, it's a meritocratic sport. You win, you finish opponents, you do it excitingly, and you'll make your way up to the top. I mean, Leon Edwards did all those things except for the exciting part, and here we are.
Well, this is what kills me about the sport, though, right? Sometimes is the fact that like you have this is actually the next video I'm working on right now, but you have a guy so technically proficient. He's literally like, how do I say it? He's literally perfect in the way he throws everything. Even when he's rocked, you could probably still tell he's going to be a little bit dangerous. It's not like if he's a little scrambled. I don't fault anyone for being a little bit more deficient there, but everything's so tight. Even the way he was taking the back that entire fight, it was like it's something like you can tell he's sharp, but at the same time, for some reason, like I'm not gonna lie, as a fan. I hear his name and I'm like, whatever. Meanwhile, Nate Diaz hobbles towards you and then like those are like decaying 1-2. That's still solid, but like definitely slower than before. I'm like, yes, let's go, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Oh, Jeremy, go for it.
I was gonna say it's probably like what you said in the beginning. The casual fans, the people who just kind of watch it freely, are just there to say, I just want to see somebody get knocked out, or I just want to see somebody get punched in the face. They don't appreciate the technical prowess of a Leon Edwards. So,
oh, dude, he does a lot of really good stuff in that fight. I'm not watching that out of excitement. I'm watching that to actually study that, like to study him. Like he does, like even the way he was taking the back on Nate, I was like, that was so lightning quick, and like the way he especially from standing and on the floor, right? That shuck was beautiful. That shuck's something to be seen.
Yeah, the shuck and his use of that outside trip was beautiful to off-balance Nate and score the takedown a couple of times. Gorgeous, gorgeous. That's actually in the James Krause instructional that I have worked my way through as well. And it's a trick that a lot of people are using. Kamaru Usman uses it to great effect because it's low risk, high reward move. And yeah, there's John Danaher broke it down a while ago when he said that there's three types of fans, and I didn't really buy it at the time, but I'm starting to see it more, and there is overlap in those categories. There's people who are fans of violence, there's people who are fans of stories, and there's people who are fans of technique, and then obviously there's overlap in the three. But if you think about your three kind of levels of fan, there's your absolute casual who knows nothing about it, is just turning up to see some blood. There's somebody to the next level up that understands some of the personalities, some of the storylines going into it, and they're coming into it kind of with that level of understanding. And then there's people who deeply understand the technique. And it's not like you can't be a fan of all three at once, or there's not crossover between the three. But I'm starting to notice that more and more since he said it.
It's definitely a very that's actually a really solid archetype to work off of. I like that a lot actually, especially because I would say I haven't been able to put a finger on it, but under that framework, I'm actually kind of like, yeah, I would definitely fall under the category of like, I really enjoy the storylines as I've been getting older. A lot more of the storylines.
Yeah. Obviously the technique as well. You just did a nice breakdown of that disgusting armbar finish that we saw. Armbar to triangle finish.
What did you guys think of that one? Like, oh my God.
Man.
That ref needs to be fired.
Yeah. I mean, Mario Yamasaki should lose his job, honestly. And but
Wow,
yeah,
Stefano calling for people's jobs.
It wasn't even Mario. Here's the sad thing. In all this is that like I know you're joking, but we actually need to know this guy's fucking name, so he should be. He should be.
Okay,
you don't know Mario Yamazaki's name?
that flew right over my head. I was like, I hope he's doing that on purpose.
Yeah, Mario Yamasaki should lose his job regardless of whether this was him or not. But
that ref too. Yeah, no, okay.
Anyways, yeah, just the visceral image of that guy's hand flopping up and down like Brock Lesnar doing hammer fists of Jamal
Nice
Hill.
thing.
That was awful, man. The belly down armbar, it does not take much because the entire weight of your hips are going into, onto that elbow joint. It was the preferred technique of Fedor, that belly down.
Yeah.
I got to ask, at what point did you guys think where did you think the ref should have been fired? Where did he make the wrong call? At what point in that 10, 15
I honestly think
seconds
Jamal Hill tapped in the when he was in the armbar. I think he already tapped, and it was in clear view of the ref.
It seemed like he was reaching to grab the hand because it didn't seem like Jamal Hill's a consummate professional. He knows this is a tapping motion. It seemed like he was trying to reach and grab his arm to pull it back, and he's just tough as nails. But I think after probably the fourth time his arm flapped up and down like a wet pool noodle, that's probably when the ref should have stopped it. But after the seventh or eighth or ninth time, it gets to be a bit excessive,
Yeah.
I guess my big take there, I guess, was I didn't necessarily see anything. I'm not saying Hill deserved this in any capacity. I don't want anyone to see that, but I remember watching that and being like, a TKO stoppage, that's justified. He didn't tap. That was that. If I'm giving my honest first moment reaction, he didn't tap. There was no reason necessarily to stop it. But at the same token, I guess my big qualm was then when do you justify a stoppage, so to speak, right? Is it literally when the guy's clearly incapacitated? Or
Dude, we've had this conversation up and down on this podcast, and we still have not found an answer.
I think it's stated clearly in the rules that when the fighter is no longer intelligently defending themselves, and I think that the more time goes on, the less I think that we actually need an amendment to the rules. I don't. I think we just need better referees. I think it's that simple. I think better referees and better training, and we need to get some of these, I'm not naming any names, but we need to get some of these old heads out of here who just clearly cannot do their job. I mean, it happens that someone has a ton of experience and for whatever reason, they're not passionate about their job. Mike Goldberg is a good example. They just never get competent at it, right? They just never grow into the role. And I think just the sport is marred by some incompetent, awful referees. It's our job as fighters to be as tough as possible. And as skilled as possible, and to have that big comeback moment and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. But it's the job of our cornermen and the referees to decide when we can and can't intelligently defend ourselves. I've made that call before as a cornerman as well.
You know what? I think the way you just defined that there, and just going by strictly the textbook definition, actually, I think that settles it for me. At a certain point, when the arm is flopping and it's quite clear that that was not. He bent out 90 degrees the other direction of the way it's supposed to bend. Yeah, I think that's actually fair. When the moment the first three elbows came down, that's justifiable stoppage. Actually, I think
And there's gray area there. I'm not gonna. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was done.
I wasn't.
The perils of two mics.
I'll be Michael Prime.
Okay, all right. I'll stick with Korean Michael. That's cool. All right. Okay, Mike. It's like K-pop.
Yo, super off topic, but okay, because you're Korean, do you watch a lot of Korean music videos and K-pop, or is that just super?
You're gonna ask him if he was offended by the slapping of Jay Park. Sorry, go on.
It's a lot of cultural issues here. This is a great question. I don't. No. Honestly, though, I'm very much so a Korean Canadian, right? I was born and raised in Canada, so in terms of a K-pop and whatnot, I'm glad that Korea's getting some traction, some and recognition. A lot of things I didn't necessarily expect, right? K-pop's fun, but at the same token, especially with guys like Korean Zombie, Dong Hyun Kim, and who else is there? Joo Ho Choi, right? There's some other lower Koreans on the lower tier that are kind of making their way up. It's kind of nice to see, especially given that without opening the massive spaghetti worms that is like Asian representation. It's nice to see that in the UFC. Like like literally a top 5 contender in the featherweight division in Korean Zombie. Debatable whether he's still there right now, but at the same time, like he was like very close, right?
Yeah.
Isn't there a fight?
Especially if this weekend, if he's able to perform well this weekend.
Oh, is he fighting Iga this weekend?
Yeah, he's fine.
I'm watching that. Let's go. All right, yeah.
I assume you'll be cheering for Dan Ige.
Yeah. Iga's really impressed me. Yeah, I'm not sure the other guy he's fighting is. He's kind of a chump, right? No.
But yeah, you know what? You do mention it because, like, for a while, there's been this rich history of, Asian martial arts, but it's usually been, when it comes to MMA representation, it's usually been the Japanese. And now you're starting to see the Thais, the
Chinese.
The Chinese and the Koreans.
Investment in the UFC PI in China. Yeah. Koreans breaking through. If anything, Japanese mixed martial arts is at a bit of a lull right now. Would you not agree? I mean, they've got their Kyoji Horiguchis, Tenshin's doing his damn thing. There's the Asakura brothers who are pretty good, but in general,
I actually Kyoji. It's funny you mentioned that and Kyoji Horiguchi and like actually even Korean Zombie and anyone that actually has had some success at the highest level of like mixed martial arts, which at the moment appears to be the UFC, the perceived highest level. I would say that Horiguchi has actually a really interesting vlog if you manage to catch it. It's all in Japanese, but I caught it through a Reddit link. He talks about why what led to his success versus a lot of other people and like why you don't see as much talent there anymore. And I thought it was a really interesting point in that sense that allegedly Japan is still a little bit in the stone ages when it comes to training things in unison. Right now they still train everything separately. So with kickboxing and wrestling and like boxing and Brazilian jiu-jitsu are all separate practice disciplines that they all get good at separately. And he made it's not a secret, it's like a public knowledge that Horiguchi went to ATT to get his training in, right? And at ATT, it's one-stop shop, from what I understand. You do everything in-house, and everything is there to like work to that's synergized together, including your strength and conditioning. And Korean Zombie has made similar like qualms with like the way Asian mixed martial arts works as well. I've watched some of his vlogs as well. And he talks about how like he trains less in the U.S. and when he started training in the U.S. and he started doing spending money to do his camp there, that's when he saw the career resurgence where he knocked out like Hanada Moicano, Frankie Edgar, Dennis Bermudez, right? I'm not sure if his camp was in the U.S. for the Bermudez fight, but that was kind of what led to this whole resurgence.
The comeback.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've always thought that Korean Zombie had talent, and he definitely got robbed against Larry Garcia when they first fought that classic they had. Yeah. I just thought like what happened with him is that it took a while for him to get back after he had his mandatory service. But now that you mention it, it does make a lot of sense that like if he did come back from the
that makes a lot of sense. And I think maybe Japan is kind of I guess really been affected negatively by the fact of obviously the closure of Pride and Dream, but the fact that the heyday of mixed martial arts in Japan was so long ago when the sport really wasn't composite martial arts, and with people like Adesanya, let's say, when he's done his career, and I think he's already gone back to Nigeria to start helping a lot of the young talent there. He's going to impart those skills back in his home nation. Whereas with, oh my God, Rogers will not stop calling me. Sorry, guys. Whereas with a lot of these Japanese talent, because there haven't been a lot of Japanese kind of superstars in quite a while, I guess what the talent that they're working with is all very, of the past generations of people that are going to train those skills in Japan,
Yeah. It's interesting in terms of like, and this isn't this. I definitely try to bring this up as pros and cons. No, not pros and cons, choices and consequences. When you look at a culture like Japan, right, where like everything is done to like the nth degree in terms of perfection and quality, right? I can imagine why you'd want to streamline all your disciplines as like individual arts that stay pure, so to speak, right? I'd imagine that if you're going to take on a task of trying to synergizing something in Japan, it'd be aggressive when they accomplish that. It'd be very, very aggressive and like very high level once they do that, but that's going to take a while. I would imagine.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, just to add 2 cents to it too is like when I'm like working and training, and you train with a guy who like was, for example, a kickboxer moving into MMA or a wrestler moving into MMA versus a guy who started MMA from the jump and is learning all the disciplines in synergy, you do see there's a level of polish in the thing that the person like started out in, like their base. like Steph. Now I don't know if you've seen that, but like you see a level of polish.
Yeah.
Like for example, like a guy who was who boxed before coming into MMA, or like before it's training MMA. The hands are cleaner, they're crisper, they're quicker.
I would add to that, not just that, but I also think they generally have a trickier skill set in general. They have tools that you don't necessarily see elsewhere. You know, like if you jump into all the composite martial arts at once and train just MMA, generally you're going to have, you know, a skill set that kind of fits in with the meta that we're all very familiar with. But yeah, when you crisper hands, but also like, you know, different techniques that you don't necessarily see, or different ways
They
of
could
fighting.
like adapt the shoulder roll a little better, like
Yeah,
things like that. You know,
even
I
like a
think
Wonder Boy or like you know, Ryan Hall, people like that at a high level. But you even see it to a lesser extent with, you know, look at someone like Carl Parisian wouldn't be a good example because no one was really mixing the martial arts at the time. But you get what I'm saying.
yeah.
I think like the difference between a generalist and a specialist is a really, really interesting conversation though, because just in terms of like guys like you that level of polish, to be honest, that's the guy I think of when you talk about like coming from like a strict basis, like Damian Maya, to be frank, right? And that's with last performance, right? It's just it's an interesting discussion in terms of just like, what do you, if you're going down the route of like training philosophies or whatnot, how do you, I guess like is there, it's again choice and consequences, not so pros and cons, right? Like what would you guys rather do, like train as a generalist or come in as a specialist?
Well, I think you got to look at the way the rules of the sport were created, right? They were created to find out which discipline was superior back in the birth of the sport. So I think it would be advantageous for you to specialize in something so that way you get the nuances of the weapons, of the requisite weapons that come with learning that discipline. So that way, when you have the opportunity to facilitate the entire sport around your advantage per se, you
Yeah.
be so much more head and shoulders above your opponent.
I don't know. See, I'd like to not contend with that completely, but I think
Damn, Roger's really getting you, eh?
yeah, I asked for help with my internet and it was fine. It got fixed, and now they're like, no, you need our fucking help. Trust me, trust me, you need help. Hold on.
I guess I'll just like edit this small
No,
part.
for sure.
You guys, I fixed the issue.
The phone is off. No.
And then it's a machine. Anyways, what I would like to say is we all like when people become specialists first and then progress into the sport because it produces more interesting results, admittedly, right? That's where we get our outliers. That's where we get our Damian Mayas. Now, at the same time, as far as what's best, as far as what produces the best result or what consistently produces better results on an ongoing basis. Like if you're a specialist and then you progress into it, there's a risk of you training a lot of techniques that are frankly not going to work. Like the more tried and tested way is to go the route of the generalist because the generalist has figured out that meta has figured out things that work within the sport. With the specialist, you run the risk of necessarily, going down pathways that aren't. Yeah, like for every Damian Maya, there's an Andre Galvao or a Marcelo Garcia. Tried their hand at MMA and did poorly. Marcelo Garcia lost to a fighter whose name I don't even know. Andre Galvao, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world.
By Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, and didn't perform as well as a lot of people expected. So that's the thing. Like, it's not just generalist specialist. It's are you going to train a specialist skill set and tailor those techniques to success in MMA? For example, a lot of the best boxers that succeed in MMA aren't people that. Well, I guess if you're like a big time boxer, you wouldn't necessarily cross over because the money's not there. But like a lot of people are there, those with like an extensive amateur boxing background that are good at the art of boxing. They're good at the footwork. They've got their basics down, and then they can cross over. But they haven't picked up a lot of the habits that wouldn't necessarily go poorly in mixed martial arts. Like there's a specific style there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you referring to that one guy who fights in, I believe, Bellator?
Oh, you're thinking of Clay Collard. No, yeah, there's a Clay Collard, but there's also people like, I don't know, Cody Garbrandt, for example, right?
Chris Lytle was also an example.
KJ Noons, Chris. Yeah, but did you say Chris Lytle? Yeah, Chris Lytle. I thought you were talking about Chris Lieben for a second. I'm like, no. Technical boxing, Chris Lieben. No. Stop, Mike.
No. That's
Mike,
oil and water.
please.
That's oil and water.
I got carried away.
I was gonna say, like, those are some names I haven't heard in a while, especially like KJ Noons and Chris Lytle is always a favorite of mine back in the day. Like, yeah. I got slick jiu-jitsu as well. Very, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say though, like when you do take a look at like just the top 5 in the rankings right now, is that there is always a specialist, whether it's it's mostly the grapplers. I admittedly, and I say that with like bated breath as a striker or someone who started in striking, but you do see specialists. Sorry?
Taekwondo isn't striking. Taekwondo is it's a little artistic display that you would do on a parade float. Okay, it's not.
With this.
I got a hot take on that, but okay. We'll move past
work, but just so we've established that Taekwondo doesn't work.
I mean, when I look at the champions, you look at Usman wrestling, Adesanya kickboxing. Who else? Isn't Volkanovski like
Volkanovski's more of a generalist though. He started out with kickboxing, but
started off rugby.
Rugby.
The best base for MMA.
Rugby's a martial art for sure. The way they play it. But yeah, he's a generalist. But yeah, I see the point you're making though. When you do take a look at the champions, like Moreno, I think was a jiu-jitsu guy actually before he started.
He was a grappler.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was a grappler. 35 Petr Yan, Muay Thai.
Well, boxing and then here's the thing though. My problem with that is looking at the champions now, we're just looking at a snapshot in time, right?
That's
I remember a time when everyone was like, yeah, you got to be a wrestler to succeed in MMA. You have to. There's no other way. It's the elite level wrestlers that are going to carry the sport, and they've been carrying the sport, and it's continued to be so. What we were looking at was just a snapshot because, MMA adapts. MMA changes over time, and footwork got better, right? Feinting got better.
Calf kicks
play a big role too. The distance changed. So who knows what the next evolutions are going to bring about, Yeah.
All of a sudden you're going to see low singles make a comeback. Like because
back to Sakuraba, my man.
No, it's just funny how it's like the meta game changes so much. Like I guess I'm coming from a bit of a video game frame of reference. I guess StarCraft 2 in particular, but the point is just like, yeah, at a certain point, I do remember that time period of where like everyone is like, you need like it's going to be NCAA wrestlers that are going to dominate the UFC, but that style got figured out, right? Like how many I'm thinking of Tony Ferguson off the top of my head in terms of just like how do you counter wrestling, so to speak, right? But just like I wouldn't just like although lately he hasn't been a very good example of that. He's been getting pretty much flattened on his back. But people are doing interesting things. Charles Oliveira is a good example of just like using single leg X, using like playing De La Riva off of his back against Michael Chandler, if I remember correctly. Like he held him off defensively, eventually got back to his feet, and then in the second round to knock him out, right? But it's like people find ways to deal with like other strengths, right? And you don't have to play A game against their A game against your C game. You don't have to get your C game up to level A, right? It's like there's pathways there, and I don't know where that evolution is going now. It's a really interesting discussion because right now it seems like it's not often you see someone like Adesanya be so dominant.
Even through the art of just distance management, right? Like Connor showed that on his rise at 45, that you can keep much superior wrestlers at bay if you just keep them out of a comfortable range, right? Stephen Wonderboy showed that.
No, it's true. And really good against the fence too. Like this is where I think a lot of people should learn from Khabib, because when Wonderboy or as Adesanya gets up against the fence, they are like next to impossible to take down. Wonderboy I think has an 89% takedown percentage, like which is ungodly. And Adesanya dipped a little bit after Marvin Vettori and Jan Blachowicz, but I think it was in the upper 90s.
Yeah, Vettori was robbed in that fight, but yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Please tell us how you really feel, please.
Yeah. By the way, Mike, do Koreans actually play StarCraft? Is that a thing? You just mentioned StarCraft.
So it's kind of a. I got nothing. Don't ask dumb question. The national sport, fool. How do you not know now?
Yeah, I actually didn't know that Koreans apparently play StarCraft, but
it's real popular. Look into it.
Yeah. not to make you the representative for all Koreans, but
it's too late.
Video game and esports is a huge thing there, like huge, right?
Not to make you the representative of all Koreans, Mike, but what do you think of geopolitical strategy to do with the
Yeah.
between North and South Korea right now? What's your opinion on the DMZ? And
Moving on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will just give the forewarning right now. Sorry, guys, I got another 15 minutes left, but just want to give the forewarning before. Yeah.
Oh
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some of the stuff you do, because like we've been just talking a lot of trash, right?
Also, I wanted to get his take on Jake and Logan Paul, but go on.
Oh yeah.
No, you go.
No,
You go first.
I really, I honestly, all jokes aside, really am a fan of your work and really enjoy a lot of the stuff that you do. I think your photography is really good. So like, who are some of your inspirations when it comes to photography? Like, where'd you get your eye for it?
Oh, it's a really interesting question. Oh, who photography was speaking? Oh man. A lot of this actually delves from not necessarily looking at other photographers and whatnot, but I guess a lot of artists, but more what really started the whole kick and the whole movement was more so cinematography and film. I don't actually try to look at I'm not gonna pretend that I can list off like famous photographers one by one right now, but the idea here is that I'm actually a really big fan of directors. I don't like watching movies one-offs and like whatnot, or genres even. I actually like watching movies a lot by strictly by who made them, by works of arts by individuals. And it's really interesting when you see the patterns and behaviors that come out of directors when they're dealing with multi-million-dollar budgets, and when you see that they're dealing with, say, a different cinematographer, a different production studio, a different. It's interesting to see what is the thread that kind of weaves their style together. Whether it's Steven Spielberg or someone like Dave, no, Dave. What am I saying? Yeah, no, it is Dave. Whether it's Fincher, right? You'll see their trends. You'll see their things, right? Or even Nolan. Nolan's actually someone who's I've been on a little bit of a kick on again, right? So when it comes to my eye, it's like sometimes directors focus on a lot of interesting things and interesting shots, and I think there's like styles and technical nuances that they all adhere to, and I guess the game for me then kind of becomes how do I find my own voice in that, right? How do I find my own voice in creating something a little bit more? I don't need to be unique. I don't necessarily need to be unique. That's not what I'm gunning for here. It's more so a little along the lines of just there's a technical challenge in unpackaging how a certain director achieves a certain look, right?
Yeah. It's like, how do you be cool in your own way, but at the same time, you're not looking to be like too over the top creative for yourself, right?
You'll never get anything done that way, right? It's like if you're trying to become like the first thing in the world ever, like just from random, like I think there are people that have probably done that. I'm not saying that's not impossible, but it's, there's a lot of writer's block, artist block that like, I can only imagine that comes from that. And to be honest, thinking like that is probably why I don't produce more, right? There's a lot of issues that come out of like that. Necessarily, how do I say? Just try be overly critical on yourself is what I would say. Sometimes you just got to make something even if it's trash and put it out to the world. Let people burn you alive a little bit. It's probably for your own good. Not don't destroy you. Like don't let it destroy confidence or like your online persona, right? But like put it out there, right? It's kind of like competing. It's kind of like competing in jiu-jitsu. Even if you don't think you're ready, give it a shot, and you'll find out real quick if you weren't ready or not, right? So yeah. And also fine arts. Also, just on a random tangent there, like Renaissance art. I actually really like that Renaissance art. I don't know much about it, but the Italian Renaissance, yeah.
Man, Stefano just had a little smile there. Like,
well, the best art does come out of Italy for sure. So, Mike, it's no surprise that you got your inspiration from Italian Renaissance art.
I'll give Da Vinci credit where Da Vinci's credit's due.
Real quick, while we still have you, I wanted to ask: do you think you could beat either Jake or Logan Paul in a fight? And if so, why?
That's actually a really good question. I think you seriously want me to answer that? Like seriously?
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna ask you just to make it interesting. Boxing versus MMA like in an MMA fight second.
So I get two shots
the third one will be a pillow. Third one is a pillow fight.
Yeah.
Third one's a pillow fight. Okay. But 3 separate dates. I get a train for each individually.
Yeah.
Okay. In a boxing fight, to be completely honest, I think I think Jake's the younger brother and the smaller one, right? Like they're both bigger boys, but like he's the smaller one, right? Logan's the bigger one.
Yeah. Jake's the one who knocked out Ben Askren. Well,
yeah. I think that Jake actually seems to be taking it seriously. I think he's like I've seen some pictures of him with like actual credible names of boxing. It seems like he does say some dumb stuff to the media. He does like put on a dumb image. I think it's like he He's putting the work in, and he's actually getting scraps. I think it's actually impressive that he did knock out Ben Askren in the sense that he actually one punched him a little bit. You know what I mean? If you one punch someone, that means something. Like you've built up some serious power. Was it a little raw? The setup was, if I remember correct, I don't remember exactly, but the setup was pretty legit. With some time, I honestly probably wouldn't like my chances, primarily because there's probably a bit of a preparation discrepancy there. Honestly speaking, if I'm just being very real. Now, if we're going to the mixed martial arts cage aspect of things, like, wait, I gotta ask. I don't know. Is it true these guys are these are not NCAA, but they wrestle?
Logan Paul was a state. I think he was either a state champion high school state champion or state runner up.
That explains a lot with Logan. If Jake's not the case, to be honest, if I was a betting man, I'd bet myself. I put some money on me. Hell yeah, mixed martial arts, let's do it. The big scary thing is just like dealing with it's like that's the same puzzle, whether it's a celebrity or not. It's more or less the same puzzle, which I won't say I've necessarily figured out completely, but it's like you look at a striker grappler matchup, right? What's the worst that can happen? Cue Ben Askren, George Masvidal, right? But like I like my chances. I like my chances in that side.
Well, Ben, Jake, Logan, you heard it here. Mike's challenging you. This is the real money fight you need. What about a pillow fight though, or pool noodles? Let's go with pool noodles.
I go with the pillow. I think unified rules or bedroom rules.
Bedroom rules for sure.
Bedroom. I take that hands down without question.
Mike's confidence.
Your bedroom game is strong.
Yeah, my bedroom game is very strong.
All right.
Got weird really quickly. All right. Oh, Logan is like I don't like my chances against like bigger people in general. Like bigger people are. Like that causes me a lot of mental agony in the sense like, oh god, this is a lot of weight. I have to try that much harder. Like it's like that's actually it's not that I haven't been able to deal with it. It's not just personally speaking. It's much more like I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's like that's a big struggle. I'll tap out now.
Hey Mike, tell them to end on a comedic note. Tell them the story about that odd guy at Toronto Nogi who the one from the beginning who trained for years and never got any better.
Oh man, we want to talk about we'll use a different name. We'll call him Larry.
It's literally landless people.
Larry. No, okay. So I was 16 at this gym. I'm going to. First time I've been there, and then like all of a sudden, there's a very large man there. Okay, very very large, a big beer guy, really big beer guy, and he seemed like a friendly guy. Whatever, no big deal. I just remember noticing that he kind of spoke with a high-pitched voice, and not like there's no connotation there. It was literally like he can't talk like this. Like it was weird. It was like at 16, you're kind of like whatever, people are people.
Like a Michael Jackson type voice, right?
A little bit. It's a little bit off-putting, but I'm 16. It's just like looking the best in people, no big deal. And I just remember noticing like nobody would want to roll with him. It's a male-dominated gym. It's just like a bunch of dudes, just like getting their training in. No big deal. And everyone avoided rolling with him for some reason. He'd go around asking people, "Can I roll with you?" And they'd be like, "I know, I want to roll with him first." And there was always some sort of a deferral of like, "Oh, someone else can roll with you." So I was like, 16, I'll roll with him. It's cool. And it's like I feel bad for him. He's lonely, right? It's like he's trying to come here to roll, and no one wants to roll. So we did, and I was like, it wasn't anything too crazy. It was a very large man, right? And then like the biggest red flag that creeped me out of everything was we were all doing planks one day for the warm up, and across the room I'm looking there focusing. I look up and I see he's eyeing me down, and I'm looking at him like what's like, why are you looking at me? And then like he does this.
Oh man.
And I was like, okay. And then it clicked. It clicked like a light bulb. All of these moments I had been noticing, like between it's like I think the general consensus, no one can confirm, right? The general consensus was that he was into guys, and that's cool. But it was like
that's his in.
Yeah, that's like that's a good way to put it. It was like this is his in, and everyone else around me knew it, and everyone was kind of just like shying away, and I didn't get it, right? But the moment he did that, everything clicked, and I was like, and then
the way I understood it too is that he's not like a just a gay dude who's there to train and get better. He's like the equivalent of like the perv who goes to a jiu-jitsu gym to like feel up women, like he's going there to get sweaty and get dominated and not improve at all.
So long story short, I felt really uncomfortable, and like the big thing about this was like I was incredibly uncomfortable, and luckily my coach at the time saw that whole interaction go down. Ian can substantiate this from like he remembers this story, but yeah, he looked over, saw the whole thing went down, and he went like.
Because I know
was he an older gentleman? Because we could
this
get
guy
him.
was like late 30s. Like he had to be like late 30s, if not mid 30s.
Yo, we could get him, man. He tried to, take advantage of you as a young 16-year-old.
We could get him. Jeremy's like, yo, we could find this guy for you. You know, here at the Leg Kick, we do more than
no, man. I mean, we can Harvey Weinstein his ass, dog.
Long story short, though, I guess like looking back on that,
echo.
Oh, echo.
Sorry, give me a second. Maybe it's me.
All good.
There we go.
Are we good? We're good. Okay, we're good.
No, just looking back on it, I think it was just like. It was just good, like a good reminder of like the predatory things can happen, and he didn't last much longer in terms of the gym, anyways. Like I think enough people caught wind that eventually I remember he stopped showing up, and then that was that. We never really saw him again, but Larry lives on in our memories, you know, good for better or for worse.
When we get Ian on here, we'll have to pry his brain about that a little bit. I've got my own story, my own creepy gym stories as well about a couple people in the gym, but we'll save that for 1,000 subscribers.
Hey, and I'll save the story about how someone tried to bite me in the middle of a rolling session, but that's
Mike. You promised you wouldn't talk about that on air.
That's the other podcast. That's Bedroom Talks. Easy.
Yeah, that's behind a paywall. Damn it. You want the triple X ASMR with me and Mike? You got to pay. Well, let's be honest. If there was ASMR, Jeremy would be doing it. You know. You slowly hear the crunch of soft snow under your feet as you fall deeply asleep. Good night.
Those got the fan pictures on point.
Jeremy's had it.
No, Jeremy likes it. Look at him. He's smiling, you know.
What's AMSR? I know I don't even want to ask, but what is it?
ASMR? Oh, you don't ASMR? ASMR? All it is just like really it's just like really aesthetic, I guess I would describe it as sounds that people like to listen to, like really calming, relaxing sounds, you know, like crunching of snow or like somebody reading you a really descriptive story. There's nothing sexual about it. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I thought it would be perverted as you per usual with you.
All right. Well, Mike, anybody you'd like to shout out? Anything you'd like to say that you got up and coming in the future? Tell the good people of the Leg Kick where they can find you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. No, guys, if you guys are interested in my my shenanigans, go check out youtube.com/BeGrapple as my mixed martial arts channel. Somewhere in there is also my link to my my personal channel, the shenanigans that I do on a daily basis and occasionally work. And also obviously my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/onstage. Watch me play video games, come hang out. If there's anything else I want to shout out to.
Oh, he's not done. He's not done.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's just
like, why do you have tweezers in your hand?
They're just literally on my desk. They're just like there. I've just been playing with them. I got a lot of things on my desk. I got like little jacks too. Like I don't know what PS4 controller. Right.
All right. Go on.
Sorry. Oh yeah. But yeah. The last thing is then if you're interested in my photography, go hit up On The Shot, AHNTHESHOT On The Shot. The last name puns go on and on if you catch my drift. So yeah.
Yeah, whenever Mike was having a bad roll at the gym, I'd be like, "You're feeling a little Michael off today." He didn't always appreciate that.
First off, with you, there were no bad days. Second, that never happened. Like you've never.
It's true. This is very counterfactual. Yeah, so we'll put up the links to all of his socials in the description of the video. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. You can find The Leg Kick where you can find podcasts. You can find us on Google Podcasts. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify. If you find some old porn tapes of your parents in the basement, you can find us on there too. Literally wherever you can find media, you can find us. Also, find us on Instagram, other social media. And thanks for tuning in. Tell a friend about the podcast. If you do, it always helps. We sincerely appreciate it. And that's about it. Mike, to play us out, what does that mean?
I don't know what it means. No,
Just do the thing, Mike. Say fuck it. We'll do it live.
Do it live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it
I actually have
live.
a pen this time.
We'll do it live.
So yeah, in this crazy mixed up world,
There's no words on there. Sorry, go on.
Hey man, you walking all over me, big dog? All right, I thought we were doing this live. No, okay. In this crazy mixed up world where things are, starting to get back to normal a little bit. The sun is out. Gialdem are skinning out. Just remember, you got 3 things. You got life. You got family. And this podcast. That's the boys who come.
Also, shouts out to Rise.
Oh yeah, big shout out to Rise.
Shout out to Rise. Kevin doing big things. Big things with mixed martial arts. Love you guys. See you later.